Hey guys, I've spent a lot of time looking at the Republican candidates, and I spent a lot of time thinking about what's going on between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. And I want to share exactly my concerns uh, with regards to Donald Trump. Here's the thing. When Donald Trump first got in, I knew him as, Donald Trump, the guy from, the TV show, you're fired. I knew he was a billionaire, real estate type guy. That's all I really knew about him. Because I never spent any time, you know, it just wasn't necessary for me to know much about him, and I never watched The Apprentice anyway. So, when he announced and he came out and was just talking tough on immigration, I was like, hell yes, finally, someone is talking about it the way we all talk to each other about it. Finally, somebody gets it. And, now I hadn't made up my mind that he was my candidate, but I was like, finally, someone shedding a light on this. And then, as the months went by, I listened to him, and it looked like he was going to be, serious about his run. So I started to look into him and started finding out who this man was. What does he stand for? What are his core beliefs? What makes him who he is? And the more I looked, the less I liked. Now, I don't care that Sarah Palin endorsed him. I don't care that the hippie Willie Roberts or whoever the guy is from the Duck Show or whatever, I don't care that he endorsed him. Because here's what I know about Donald Trump. The history of Donald Trump that I've found, that I've researched, he is a Democrat. He is a progressive. He is the establishment. He is exactly what has gotten us into the trouble that we're in now. He's the deal maker. Remember? Oh, Donald's a deal maker. The deal makers are the ones that got us $19 trillion in debt. Okay? But let's look at all the issues. First of all, I don't buy Donald Trump's immaculate, what do you want to call it? It's not a conception, but his immaculate conversion to the Republican way of thinking. Literally, this man supposedly wants us to accept that he's flip-flopped on nearly everything. That you have to ask yourself, if that's what he is, then his entire adult life, he's been wrong about everything. I can understand if somebody, has a change of heart. Let's just say someone's pro-choice, like Donald Trump was and still is. And I'll explain why he's lying to you. Look, and I don't have an axe to grind in this. I want what's best for America, period. So let's talk about that. Tim Russert, this was in the 90s, Tim Russert did that interview, and Donald J. Trump sat up there and says, look, I'm in favor of gay marriage, I'm in favor of abortion. I don't really like it, but I'm a pro-choice guy because I was raised in Manhattan, and these are New York values, and that's who I am. Now, he's been pro-choice his entire life. Okay, pro-choice, even partial birth abortion. He wasn't going to ban that. And if you don't know what partial birth abortion is, that is a baby that is developed that can be birthed. That's a baby when it comes through the birth canal and its head is crowning, means the head is starting to come out. The doctor stops it, takes a set of, essentially, most often they use a set of, scissors. They jam it in through the soft part in the skull, remove the brain, and then pull the baby out. Dead. Okay? Donald Trump was in favor of that. He's saying, I'm not going to ban that. I cannot find a single medical reason where that would be necessary to save the woman's life. Not one. Can't find it. My dog takes better care of her puppies than the subhuman act of infanticide. Okay, think about that. All you people who claim to be Christian. Oh, by the way, if you claim to be Christian, Donald Trump says he's never done anything that he needs to be forgiven about. Oh, he thinks he's Jesus Christ. Because apparently, between Jesus and Donald, they're the only ones that are perfect. Donald's never done anything. Think about how arrogant that son of a bitch is to say something like that. Oh, you never had a terse word or said something out of spite or thought something that you shouldn't have thought about someone, Donald. Those are just, they're not huge sins, but they're things that you can ask for forgiveness for. But no, Donald's never done anything wrong that he needs to, ask, for forgiveness for. What? But anyway, Donald says now he's pro-life. Except it was just, a couple of months ago, Donald Trump said he would appoint his sister, Marianne Trump Berry, who's a New York federal judge. This gal is left-wing crazy, batshit crazy, and she defends partial birth abortion. So Donald says, I'm pro-life, but he's going to put the absolute worst pro-choice infanticide-backing judge in his sister on the Supreme Court. What? Don't listen to his words necessarily. Listen to his actions. Listen to what he wants to do. Now, he's also in favor of Obamacare. He supported Obamacare. He wants universal health care. That's a Democrat. That's a progressive. That's their mantra. What does Donald Trump say? Oh, well, I'm in favor. We just can't afford it. But he loves the idea. He's in favor of, quote, an assault weapons ban. What's an assault weapon? He doesn't even know. He's in favor of an assault weapons ban. So he's not, what he was, but now apparently he's pro-Second Amendment. It's like, go, go, go. So he's flip-flopped on that. He was in favor of the car bailouts. Okay? And if you don't understand what the car bailouts were, okay, this wasn't so for, GM and Chrysler, it wasn't so they could buy glass and paint and seats and tires. It bailed out the pensions of the auto workers. All of us Americans who don't have a guaranteed pension, we get a little 401k. Okay, nobody's going to guarantee our pension, our 401k. They took all that money to bail out the pensions. That's all it went for. Donald Trump supports it. The banks, the big banks, J.P. Morgan Chase, and all these big bank buddies of Donald Trump, he supports bailing them out, and he supported the bailout. Okay, so Obamacare, car bailouts, auto bailouts. He's wrong on guns, wrong on abortion. Gee, so. I really like the fact, let's talk about immigration. Trump's claim to fame. Oh, I'm going to build a big wall, and I'm going to kick everybody out. I'm going to put this big fancy door in the middle, and I'm going to bring them all right back in. Does anyone think that even sounds remotely rational? You're going to build a wall, and you're going to make Mexico pay for it, by the way. Hey, by the way, Donald, we don't need Mexico to pay for it. We've already paid for it. The money was appropriated in 2006. Would you kind of figure something out? Hello, the money's already there. It's already appropriated. We just have to have the cojones to build the fence. We don't need Mexico to, New Mexico, I'm going to make the Mexicans pay for it. Whatever, shut up. You're going to kick them all out and bring them all back in. Really? 17% of the jobs in America are taken by people illegally in the country. Think about that one. So, but think about this. Donald Trump talks tough on immigration. Don't take my word for this. Okay? Listen to me. Okay? Voters, listen to me. I'm like you. Okay? I'm one of you. Go look in July. There was all the big papers did this article. Donald Trump is building this big hotel just blocks from the Capitol. And guess what? They found all kinds of illegal laborers building his building. Okay? So Donald Trump is lining his pockets with all this money that he saves off hiring cheap labor, okay? So he's putting all that extra cash in his pocket. He screws the American contractor and the American construction worker, okay? Those people might not even be employed right now, or might have a job if it wasn't for Donald. But so what happens? They go on public assistance. So Donald puts them out of work. So they're collecting public assistance that's paid for by us that are working, while he saves all this money by hiring illegals. He puts the money in his pocket. He's rich off screwing the American people. How can you not see this? Because he gives you a slick speech? Because he says, I want to make America great again. Well, think of this. George Soros, if you don't know who he is, this guy is the evil emperor from The Empire Strikes Back. This guy is a dirtbag. But he's worth more money than Donald Trump. He's worth $23 billion. And if you look at what he believes in, and you look at what Donnie believes in, they're like this. Okay? Now, if George Soros woke up tomorrow and had a mea culpa and said, hey, I'm going to have an immaculate conversion too. I'm a Republican now. Okay? I'm a Republican. Would anyone in their right mind think that George Soros actually is going to believe in the Republican platform? Not only that, Donald Trump, who has railed against the establishment, the Jeb Bushes and George Bushes, and, he's railed against him. He just the other day said that he was part of the establishment. He said that he identifies mainly with the Democrat Party. Folks, what the hell am I missing here? Look, I was like you. I was like, finally, Donald Trump, he's saying what we think. Until you look at what he really believes, I got to ask you this, and I know I've gone on here for a little bit. How can you trust a man who his entire adult life, he's just admitted, has been wrong about everything? I mean, think about that. What kind of core values does a man have when everything he's lived by his entire life, he now just flips over and says, I was wrong about everything? Oh, how do you trust a man like that? I can't trust Donald Trump. I cannot. I got to tell you, folks, I don't see much difference between him and Hillary Clinton. I really don't. I mean, you've got Bob Dole, John McCain, both presidential losers. Okay? They're supporting Donald Trump. Why? And what have we said about these types of guys? These are the mushy moderates. These are the progressive Republicans. These are the same deal cutters that got us $19 trillion in debt. I mean, they don't like Ted Cruz. Do you know why? Because Ted Cruz stands up for exactly what he says he's going to do. Period. I'm not saying Ted Cruz is a perfect candidate, but the man is a good, honorable, decent man. I mean, he's got a track record of conservatism. Oh, Donald Trump, ethanol. What a garbage crap fuel ethanol is. Now I want to talk to you about that. In this Iowa governor, wasn't it Branstad or whatever? What a pinhead jerkwad that guy is. He's over saying we have to defeat Cruz because he's against ethanol subsidies. Well, hell yes, we should be against ethanol subsidies. By the way, his son, the governor of Iowa's son, is an ethanol lobbyist. And who's he supporting? Donald J. Trump. Big surprise, big surprise. Donald wants to expand subsidies in ethanol. Let's talk about ethanol. Ethanol's a crap fuel. It's a shit fuel. And it's bad for everybody. And except for the farmers and the people with the ethanol plants. And it's just the farmers that are growing the type of corn necessary to make the ethanol. But see, what happens is these farmers have converted their farms from food-grade corn to the type of corn they use for ethanol. That's created a shortage in human consumption corn and the products that are created from, the derivatives of corn. And of course, that type of feed that farmers of poultry farms and cattle farms use that type of grain to feed, their livestock and chickens and such. So that got more expensive. So you pay more for poultry, you pay more for beef because it costs the ranchers more money to feed, their livestock. So, but then on top of all that, so it's going to cost you more for food, for corn itself, and it's going to cost you more for chicken and beef and pork. But then on the flip side, it takes up massive amounts of water, and it gets 25% less fewer, or 25% fewer miles per gallon. It's a crap fuel. It's a garbage fuel, and it's subsidized. And what's funny is when you look at the pump, if you find pure gasoline, it's more expensive than this gasohol. Why? Because they spend so much money, they so heavily subsidize it that they blend it in with your fuel. And because of all the subsidies, it makes it look like it's such a good deal. Oh, look, I'm saving 10 cents a gallon using this crap fuel that's blended in here. It's a joke. If they would knock the subsidies off, okay, then the price of fuel will stabilize. Have you noticed? Oil is what, $29, $30 a barrel? And honestly, gas should be even cheaper. But the price to produce a gallon of ethanol hasn't come down at all. That crap. If you had to buy ethanol for what it really costs, it's probably about $7 or $8 a gallon. That's how big of a farce it is, and that's how much they get in subsidies. And Donald wants to give them more subsidies. So you get these little farmers and these ethanol plants, they're just lying in their pockets, and I'll bet you they're giving all that money away. But anyway, so that's the thing on ethanol. Now, Donald Trump and Sarah Palin, that gal is going off. Have you noticed what Donald Trump has said? I'm self-funding. I'm a billionaire. I'm self-funding. I'm a billionaire. All these other people over here, yeah, they're taking campaign contributions. They're beholden they have to answer to all these other people that are giving them money. I'm self-financing. I want you to listen the hell up. What Donald Trump just told you, it's bad to take campaign contributions. Okay, that's what he's saying. That he's self-funding. He just told you only billionaires should run for the president because everyone else who has great ideas. There's lots of people. Low, middle income people who aren't billionaires that have great ideas. Donald Trump doesn't think you should run for president because in order for you to do that, you'd have to take campaign contributions from like-minded people. And that disqualifies you because you can't self-fund. You're beholden to people who think like you. So in Donald's mind, in Sarah Palin's mind, only billionaires can be president. I mean, that's what he didn't use those words, but that's what it means. If you're going to attack everybody else, why can't I give money to a candidate and support a candidate that believes in what I believe in? I'm sorry, but not everyone, billionaires. George Soros his net worth is $23 billion, Donald. He makes you look poor, buddy. So what are we to believe? What do we believe here? Since he's gotten more billions, maybe he's better than you. Is that what you're trying to tell us? The more billions you have, maybe the smarter you are, right? Stop, people. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't get your panties in a wad. Don't get all mad and be like, oh, Donald Trump. Go look at what I've said. Go research the man's history. If you could trust a man that in the last couple of months just completely 180'd and had a immaculate conversion, if you can trust someone that has been wrong about everything his entire life because he sits there and gives these ramblings, I'm going to make America great again. I mean, what's that face, Donald? That's just, that's when you say something and he's busted. It's my constipated look. Whatever. That's have you noticed Donald Trump has never said anything about the Constitution? Have you noticed that? He never talks about the Constitution. All we hear is Donald's a deal maker. Well, I got to ask you, what kind of deal is he going to make? I'm sorry, my constitutional rights, my freedoms, my liberties are not something you can negotiate. Okay? I don't want you to sacrifice something over here because you think you're going to get a deal over here. Those aren't negotiable. And I got to tell you, Donnie, the Democrats are going to run circles around you. because they don't negotiate. See, here's the problem. Okay, I will leave you with this. We don't need any more compromising like we've gotten. Okay, I was on a radio program. I called in because I got sick and tired of listening to this one woman talk about compromise. We need people that are going to compromise, otherwise nothing gets done. So I called in and I said, look, I'm tired of hearing compromise. When a person runs for office and they tell me, here's what I stand for and this is what I'm going to do, by God, that's what I expect the person to do. Don't compromise on what you told me you're going to do. Okay? And this woman says, well, have you ever been married? And I was like, well, yeah, I've been married. And she goes, well, then you know that if you don't compromise, you're going to be dead or divorced. Oh, ha, 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 ha. And she thought she was so clever. Okay? So I was like, oh, I understand. So let me, and I asked this lady, and we're on the air. I said, so let me ask you this, ma'am. Let's assume you and I are married. And you want me to be faithful to you 100% in our marriage. But I want to cheat on you 10 times a month. Go ahead, compromise with me. I'll tell you what, I'll come right out of the gate. I'll cheat, I'll give you half. I'll cheat 5 times a month. There, I just compromised. I gave up half. So you meet me halfway. Does that sound like a compromise? Well, that's not the same. Well, ma'am, you just said marriage, you have to compromise. You could be dead or divorced. So I'm telling you, I want to cheat on you 10 times a month. You want me to be 100% faithful. Compromise with me. Come on, you don't want to be dead. You don't want to be divorced. Let's compromise. See, that's the problem. This is the problem that we have with deal makers. Okay? We don't need any more deal makers. Okay? My liberty's not a deal to be made. Okay? And this is what happens. And I've been at this 22 minutes now. The government, let's just say, brings in $3 trillion. And see, and this is the problem we have now. Government brings in $3 trillion. Oh, well, the other thing, too, is baseline budgeting. Baseline budgeting is the budget goes up like 7% every year, no matter what. They don't even vote on it. It's automatically increased every single year. That's got to stop. But anyway, let's say the government this year brings in $3 trillion in cash. Nice chunk of change. See, what the Republicans... See, here's how the Republicans negotiate. Okay, we're going to spend $2.99 trillion. And the Democrats are like, no. We got to fund all this other socialist crap. We got to spend $3.5 trillion. And if you don't agree with us, we're going to start rolling the film about you pushing grandma over a cliff in a wheelchair and making her eat dog food, and you want to shut down the government. Okay, well, let's just agree on, how about $3.4 trillion? And the Democrats are like, done, sold. And then the Republicans come back and they say, hey guys, we negotiated $100 billion savings. No, you didn't. You just negotiated an extra $400 billion we don't have. Okay, but see, what a conservative would do is say, look, we got $3 trillion in cash. That's what we have to spend. Let's spend $2.5 trillion on funding the government, take $500 billion, let's pay down the debt. That's the right thing. Let's not leave that debt for our children and grandchildren. Let's pay that down. And the Democrats are like, no, we got to spend $3.5 trillion. Okay, so the conservative would come back and say, okay, here's our final offer. We'll spend $2.75 trillion. We'll take $250 billion and pay it towards the debt. You know, the money that you spent all these years ago and never paid back. You know, and of course the Democrats will be like, no, we're gonna shut the government down. You're just gonna stop old people from getting checks. And see, that's the problem that we have now. Nobody, except Ted Cruz and a handful of other rural conservatives, they're the only ones to say, enough is enough. I'm drawing a line in the sand. Shut the damn government down. Okay? That's what needs to happen. Donnie's not going to do that. He's going to cut these bullcrap deals that's going to get us 2021. You know, because I can't trust Donald Trump. I can't. And I got to tell you, I am to the point, if the only true conservative, which is Ted Cruz at this point, And he's not a perfect candidate, but he's a great candidate. I got to tell you, last week I was like, I was going to hold my nose. If it wasn't Ted Cruz, I would hold my nose and pull the lever for Trump and assume that he's the man that he now proclaims that, he is after his immaculate, transference into the Republican Party. But I tell you, right now I'm to the point where I might not vote, and don't give me this crap about, well, then you'll just get Hillary Clinton. I got to tell you, I don't see a dime's worth of difference between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump's for universal health care, so is Hillary. Donald Trump is, he won't do anything with the entitlement, neither will Hillary Clinton. You go down the line, there's not really that much of a difference between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. I can't see it, because the man has no track record his entire damn life. He's been a Democrat. He's been a progressive. We talk about this corruption, this crony capitalism that pisses us all off. That's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the grease in the machine. He's the guy paying the $50,000 here and there to all these politicians to keep the wheels turning, to keep the cogs nice and greased. That's Donald Trump. He's part of the machine. Has been forever. You can't complain about all this crony capitalism and this corruption and then support Donald Trump. He is crony capitalism. He is corruption. He is using illegal labor. He supports, partial birth abortion justices on the Supreme Court. And think about that. We're going to have 2, 3, 4 Supreme Court justices possibly retiring under the next president. Do you trust Donald Trump? If you're a gun owner, a responsible gun owner, you are one Supreme Court justice away from having your rights stripped. And if all you Duck Dynasty people, Willie McDilly over there, if you think for a second that Donald Trump wouldn't put a progressive up there, they're coming for your guns. They're coming for your guns. And the loss of the Constitution is going to be on your back. I can't trust the guy. I don't know what the hell the rest of you see in him. I got my blinders off. And I looked. Originally, when it started out, I liked Ted Cruz. I liked Donald Trump. I liked Scott Walker. And I was kind of even a little interested in Carly Fiorina. Until she kind of went wackadoodle and I found out she's an amnesty candidate and believes in the myth of man-caused global warming. That kind of just finished her off for me. Scott Walker dropped out, before I really got into researching them, and that left 2 candidates. I've just researched it, folks. I didn't come at this just being like, I've done my research. Have you? Or do you just sit there and listen to his stupid stump speeches? I'm going to make America great again. I'm going to build a fence, kick the ball out, bring them back in. But look the other way. Don't mind the ones, or don't mind the ones that are, building my buildings for me while I line my pockets with all that money. Come on. Wake up, America. At least Iowa, wake up. I don't get it. I really don't. Tell me, you Trump supporters, tell me what you see that I am missing. I don't see it. I've researched it. I don't trust a man that's been wrong literally about everything his entire life. How do you trust that man? Where's his pivot? Look, okay, I can see someone's maybe pro-choice, and then they get married and they have a child and they realize, wow, that is a human life. I can't believe I didn't recognize. I can see that as a pivot point. That hasn't been Donald Trump. Because he said he was pro-choice. Now he says he's pro-life, but he would put his pro-abortion sister on the Supreme Court. Do your homework. Think about it. There's too much at stake here, guys. So I know I sound, like I've said the same thing over and over. I just don't see why people like Donald Trump anymore. I don't. And I'm telling you, the only reason why I brought on Sarah Palin is because people were finally looking at Donald Trump, and they were looking into his background. And what he did, Sarah Palin was essentially a prophylactic. And I'm not saying she's a condom. She basically was his protector, his shield against a conservative onslaught because Sarah Palin used to be the Tea Party darling. I got to tell you, she just sounded more like a groupie, and she was like a groupie Johnny Cochran trying to rhyme her way through a speech. It was painful. But so, that was Sarah Palin was basically there because Donald Trump has no conservative credit. He is, in his own words, he's the establishment. Donald Trump is the establishment. The establishment. Bob Dole. Orrin Hatch, the guy's been there since like 1976. The establishment, all these people have allowed illegal immigration to do what it has done. All these people that have got us $19 trillion in debt, they're all supporting Donald Trump. Why? Because they can work with him. That just means business as usual, folks. What do you think that means? Wake the hell up. Again, give me feedback. Tell me what I'm missing. I've told you factually where I'm at. I'm not just flying off the handle going, I just love him. I'm mesmerized. Oh, yay, he's going to make America great again. I'm telling you why I don't buy into that nonsense. I want America to be great. I want someone who cites the Constitution. I haven't ever heard him do it. How is he going to defend the Constitution when he hasn't even read it? And I can tell you he hasn't read it. He doesn't disagree with the Supreme Court on Obamacare because he likes Obamacare. I don't think we can afford it, but I love the concept. I love universal health care. I'm telling you, folks, he's a socialist. He's a progressive. He's the elite. He's got his billions of dollars. See, he made his billions of dollars. That's why he doesn't care if he turns off the spigot of illegals now, which he's not going to do because he's going to build a fence. He's going to kick them out and bring them right back in. I'm not wrong. I've looked at what he said. I've studied it. Okay, folks, 32 minutes. I'm done. Give me your feedback. Tell me where I'm wrong. All right? I'm all ears. Thanks for watching.